Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to a very special encounter in this Atlanta, the 2022 edition, in what has been a massive success over the years in the second season of this tournament. And boy, do they have some fantastic names on display. Two big teams, both in need of a win early to set the tone. It's the Samp Army side up against the UMMC KR Hurricanes, and two teams. Sorry, the UMMC Night Riders. So two teams that will be looking to get off to a good start. Here's Soya Tanvir bowling to Chanapal Hemraj, the left-hander from Guyana, fresh off of the CPL. And you speak about the CPL, so much of that talent coming in to this Atlanta Open, and definitely it's one of the bigger tournaments in the United States in terms of the names that it's possessed. Some real exciting fixtures coming in the first round of matches earlier today at 9:30, and now both these teams playing their first match will be looking to get off to winning ways. Tanvir starting after the Night Riders won the toss, elected to bowl first. Here he is, and right where he wants to be. Hits that hard length, tends to be right around there, challenging the outside edge. He's got to slip in place inside this power play. And we're going to get to the teams very soon because they're stacked, these two teams. So Hemorrhage still slow to get off the mark. He's got Andreas Gauss alongside him, the South African yet to face. Well worked. And the first runs off the bat for the Samp Army side. And now 1 for none inside this first over. So a look at the teams. Remember, first game for both of these sides. And when I run through the names, ladies and gentlemen, you will be able to see just how stacked these two teams are. We'll start with the Samp Army team first, the batting team. Of course, they've got Chanapal Hemorrhage, Andreas Gauss out in the middle with the openers. They've also got Abraham Pinar, Angelo Pereira, the former Sri Lankan international, Asad Ali, Calvin Savage, and Carme Leroux, 2 MLC contracted players and known for that faster bowling. They've got that pace, extra bit of seam, which can be useful on this synthetic surface. We are at the Atlanta Cricket Fields, and of course, all the surfaces here are synthetic matting. So another challenge for these batters to contend with. First delivery from Gauss, he's off the mark straight away. And a misfield, so you'll actually be able to come back for 2. And just looked to be Usman Rafiq with the misfield. But just telling you about the Samp Army side as we're into the first over here at the Atlanta Cricket Fields. Abraham Pinar, Angelo Pereira, Calvin Savage, Carme Leroux, Colin Archibald, the all-rounder from the Leeward Islands, and the Antiguan-born fast bowler who was very special in the minor league for the Morrisville Raptors. Tanvir so far on the money. He represented this similar franchise. They're a team that's owned the Houston Hurricanes back in the minor league. So Tanvir representing the Hurricanes then and now representing the Knight Riders. And finally, Jonathan Fu, the Guyanese, and Nisarg Patel, Rohan Mustafa, the former UAE captain. So a very stacked lineup for this Samp Army side. And so far, they're really going to be depending on these two, knowing the nature of the way they're able to get going. This one hits him on the pad. Half-hearted appeal, but just seemed to be sliding on the leg side. No real interest from the Knight Riders, but a very good first over to start. After winning the toss, electing to bowl first. Just 4 runs from the over. And you can see with that line, always was going to be a problem. And hit him on that front pad, but just may have been sliding on the leg side. So, brings us to the end of the first over at the Atlanta Cricket Fields. It's the 2022 Atlanta Open T20 tournament presented by our fantastic corporate sponsors. And a look at the Samp Army side. We mentioned Pereira, Nisarg Patel, Calvin Savage, Jonathan Fu. A long batting lineup. And then they've got the power of Rohan Mustafa, the all-rounder, Colin Archibald. We know what he can do as well. And when you look at the Knight Riders side, a team, mind you, that just won the last tournament, the Houston Open, a couple of months ago. And they're led by Jaskar Malhotra, the USA international. Mohammad Mohsin, the Pakistani former international player. Darren Stevens, the veteran from England. Sohail Tanvir, Usman Rafiq, the off-spinner. Norman Anwar, Noshtush Kenjige, the USA left-arm spinner. Rishi Badraj, who's fresh off of that minor league success for the Seattle Thunderbolts. Sahib Malhotra, the brother of Jaskar Malhotra. Sohail Tanvir, as we mentioned. And Imran Khan Jr., as well as Ali Sheikh. That rounds out the 11. So 2 stat teams. When you looked at it on paper, these would have been the 2 teams that you identified to come out of this group. Here's Kenjige into the attack from that northern end. Noshtush Kenjige starts short and gets away with one. Really, it was a long hop, should have been put away. Gauss knows it. You look at the field, he's got deep mid wicket and a long off as the 2 fielders outside the circle. So very fortunate there, Noshtush Kenjige. Get away with that loosener. Goes short again. But this time, the line was much better on that off stump. Will be a challenge. So, slow start so far for the Samp Army when you think about the nature of these 2 players. But they'll know that there's no real rush. Got a long batting lineup to come as well. So, it does give them that freedom. And another misfield. But they will just stay for 1. So, Ghost and Chanapal Hemraj. Hemraj, of course, would have just played for the Ghana Amazon Warriors. Had an up and down season, really, in that Caribbean Premier League. Would have expected a bit more from him, the Warriors. And then Andreas Ghost, we know what he was able to do, leading the Thunderbolts to win in the Minor League. Just being picked in the Abu Dhabi T10 tournament as well. So a good couple of months for him. And now we'll be looking to continue that success with a team that he's played for in the past, the Samp Army side. Start short to Hemraj. But they're doing well so far, the Knight Riders, just to keep things quiet at the moment. Haven't conceded a boundary, which against Hemraj and Ghost is a massive success. Here he goes. It was only a matter of time. Chanapal Hemraj, and opens up that right foot and just hits it through that cow corner region. And it's one of his stronger areas, Chanapal Hemraj. Hitting against, actually no, sorry, hitting with the spin. You expected him as a left-hander. You just thought it was a matter of time before he looked to take on that matchup. And right in his arc. So that will help his confidence, Chanapal Hemraj. Much straighter this time from Kenjige. Slightly pulls back that length and is able to get him off strike. But they'll be thinking, I think, Samp Army, if they can get through the power play with these two still batting at the crease, well then they will be really in for a big finish based on the depth that they have. Owas Pinar. Haven't seen Jonathan Carter, who's scheduled to be with this Samp Army side. End of the second over, 12 for none. So Tanvir will bowl his second over, Sohail Tanvir. No ball signal, so they have just overstepped Sohail Tanvir, and not easy to deal with this synthetic matting. A man has played so much cricket on turf surfaces for Pakistan at the highest level. It won't be an easy transition now coming to this synthetic surface. He would have dealt with some of it in the minor league, but it is a difficult adjustment for some of the best players in the world. Man has played over 390 T20s. So Tanvir, free hit delivery, and Hemraj picks him up. Hasn't quite got it though, and there is that mid-on fielder inside the circle, and he's thought he should have been able really to cut that off, but instead that hill, the ball just carries it so quickly, and they'll get another boundary. Not convincing from Hemraj, but the desired result, and another boundary for the Samp Army side. So Tanvir is not a bad delivery really. You don't mind if you're struck for a boundary from that length, but of course it was a free hit, so it gave that bit of extra confidence to Hemraj. Interesting to see how they use Darren Stevens, the 36-year-old that they brought in from the UK. Man, that's so esteemed in the county setup. More red ball type bowler, but with his experience playing at the highest level for so many years, he's going to bring a lot to this side. This is a team that just won the Houston Open. Slightly different side, but they've retained that core. Jaskar Malhotra. They've brought in and actually bolstered some of the local core as well, bringing in Usman Rafiq, Saklin Haider. Too short, way too short, and dispatched from Andreas Ghost. It was an interesting angle from Sohail Tanvir, bowling over the wicket with his left arm seam, trying to push that ball across, but when you're on that length on this synthetic surface, it just sits up, and too easy for a man with the destructive nature of Andreas Ghost. So Tanvir's got to adjust that length. And he does that much better this time, keeping Ghost quiet. They've done well so far. 8 from 8 against Andreas Ghost. You take that if you're the Knight Riders. But still, that rate above 8 and over. You look at the batting lineup of what's to come. This Samp Army side is a team that did very well in this Atlanta Open as well. They got to the final in last year's edition. So, definitely have, and especially with the likes of Hemorrhage, Jonathan Carter was there as well. Had a packed team. Justin Graves, Naeem Young from the Barbados Royals franchise with them last season as well. So different names in, but Obas Pinar, Gauss will help to bolster their batting lineup. And both being selected for Samp Army in that Abu Dhabi T10 tournament in Andreas Gauss and Obas Pinar. So good to see them getting an opportunity on a much bigger stage to the minor league. I think it will help them in a massive way when they go on to play the major league coming in 2023. But you have to love the competitiveness of these tournaments. You look at the names on display. Just earlier today, Andre Fletcher in the runs, 96 from just 53 balls in a match losing effort, would you believe it? And it tells you about the just high caliber of competition in this league. Off the leading edge, there is that mid-off fielder in place, and it'll be the first wicket for the UMMC Knight Riders, and it's a big one of Andreas Gauss. And again, Soya Tanvir, a wicket taker, as he's been for so many years. Gauss is disgusted, but he's got to depart. Just looking to turn one into the onside a bit early. And on this synthetic surface, that ball just tends to stick in. And getting the leading edge, carrying easily to Mohammed Mohsin, and an early strike for the Knight Riders. After 3, 22 for 1. Jacobus Pinar walks to the middle. With a job to do now, we'll need to support Channel Hemorrhage. Batted in this position for the Morrisville Raptors during the minor league season. So definitely will be equipped of batting inside this power play and taking on the fielding restriction. Just 2 allowed outside the circle. So if you have any confusion, this is his name, Jacob. He's mainly known as Obas Pinar, but his first name is actually Abraham, and he's been using it now. Kenjige to Hemorrhage. Interesting decision from the captain, and this is why. Very interesting decision to go back to the left arm spinner, knowing that you've got Hemorrhage still there at the crease, the left-hander. Hitting with the spin is just too easy. And I really question the thinking from Jaskar Malhotra, the captain of this Knight Rider side. Hitting with the wind as well, and just too full from Kenjige. Best case scenario, get him off strike. Trying to force him to hit down to long on, but a man with this type of power, who's dominated cricket in this country. 200s in that minor league season a couple months ago. This time, much better intent from Kenjige, but gets the execution wrong. Down the leg side, we'll have to re-ball it. That's much more of an area where Kenjige will want to operate from. He's got a lot to prove, not just Kenjige, because he's lost his place in the United States national side. They've gone with actually Nisar Patel, who's playing for this Samp Army team as the main left arm spinner. So you want to get back there, Kenjige. But an interesting move from Malhotra, even though Kenjige is known for bowling in this power play. T20 cricket is about matchups. And you saw by that first delivery, very interesting decision. You don't tend to see many left-arm spinners bowling to left-handers. And of course, matches happening all around the grounds here at the Atlanta Cricket Fields and all available to you on the MLC network. The Tigers up against the Macon Bulls. Oh, here he goes again. This man on a rampage, Shanapur Hemraj, and this is not a sign you want to see if you're Malhotra and the Knight Riders. Power from Hemraj. Just too easy again. First, too full from Kenjiga, now too short. And on these small square boundaries, Hemraj is not going to miss out. Every time he's been on that off stump, he's kept Hemraj quiet. But a big over for the Samp Army side after losing the wicket in the last. End of 4, 35 for 1. Back live here at the Atlanta Cricket Fields, where it's all about the matchup. Darren Stevens, for the first time into the attack, was very surprised to see Darren Stevens listed in this Knight Riders side. I said 36, but I was corrected by 10 years. 46 years old, Darren Stevens. 326 first-class matches for the Englishman. And a man that said he still wants to continue playing, has one more season in him. An average of 35 in first-class cricket, along with 591 wickets. Really is the all-round package. And he's just so consistent right there. Whether it's red ball, whether it's white ball, on that good length. And just so difficult to score against. So good to see you have someone with that experience coming to the league now. And I tell you, these tournaments just continue to advance year after year. We saw it earlier this year in a tournament that the Knight Riders won, the Houston Open, where we saw so much of that international talent on display. Too short though, this time from Stevens. Just goes away from that consistency. And a good way for Jacobus Piñar to open his account. Just created room into that offside. And no fielders on the boundary. Easy pickings in the end. I was just talking about the elevation that these tournaments continue to make. First, the Houston Open earlier this year, where we saw such a competitive tournament. Of course, that one on turf. Now we move to the Atlanta Open, which in the space of a year's time has added so many international players. There is that long on field in play, so should just be a single. We already saw likes of Sherfane Rutherford doing very well, Andrew Fletcher. So very good signs to see. More runs here for the Samp Army. And this man, Shanapur Hemraj, as he showed it at the last year's edition, when he spends time at the crease, that run rate continues to increase. And a lot of thinking to be done now for Jaskar Malhotra. Stevens started well, but all of a sudden just been a bit wayward with that line and too easy. Just a flick off the hips for Shanapur Hemraj. Yeah, much better. That's his bread and butter there, Darren Stevens. Mentioned some action happening around the grounds here at the Atlanta Cricket Fields. Every day we've got 2 time slots with 4 matches happening at one time, and it's the advantages of having a big facility. Another dot delivery, but a big over for the Samp Army. The runs continue to flow. End of 5, 44 for 1. New bowler into the attack for the Knight Riders, but it's the same result. Another boundary for the Samp Army side, and boy are they underway here in a massive way. 48 now for 1. Imran Khan Jr. coming into the attack, but just too much width outside that off stump, and too easy for Jacob Espinar. Interesting angle as well for Imran Khan, the left arm seamer, opting to go over the wicket to Pinar. But you can't afford to give him width because naturally the ball will just start away. Well, we're inside the sixth over. We mentioned some of the action happening around the grounds, and when you talk about names and just what's on display in this Atlanta Open, it tells you why you should be very excited to join us for the action over the next 5 days. Just behind us, the unique Tigers taking on the Macon Bulls. The Tigers with, listen to this, Kenar Lewis, Trevon Griffith, Fabian Allen, Danza Hyatt, Krishmar Santoki, Keon Otley. A massive West Indian influence in that side. Tons of power hitters. Fabian Allen, my goodness, we saw what he was just capable of doing at the CPL Man of the Match in the final. The Atlanta Fire also taking on the Square Drive side. 55 inside the fourth over. The Fire, Rakeem Cornwall again picking up where he left off along with Stephen Taylor. The Fire batting first. And then the Atlanta Starlings taking on the Legends as the final of 4 games to be played here. Down the trap may have just deceived him. Pace off delivery from Imran Khan. So a good change up. And you do tend to see a lot of those cutters into the pitch in terms of on this synthetic matting. This opens the face nicely. Decent over so far though from Imran Khan Jr. Just concedes the 7. We end the power play. The first for the Samp Army in this Atlanta Open. A very good start. Just losing the 1 wicket for 51 runs. Perfect platform now to really go big and look for that close to 200 total. We know the power score here at the Atlanta Cricket Field is a very high scoring ground. End of 6, 51 for 1. Well, we've seen that Jaskar Malhotra has been happy to shuffle his options in terms of what he's had with his bowlers. And again, new bowler into the attack, Mohamed Mohsin. Leg spinner to this to the left-handed Chanapal Hemraj. Another interesting matchup, interesting choice. And you look at it now, 5 options being used for the Knight Riders. Mohsin into his first over. We've seen 1 from Stevens, 1 from Khan, 2 from Kenjiga, and 2 from Tanvir. Still do have Malhotra himself, who can bowl a bit of an off-spin. That could be a potential option against his left-hander, spinning the ball away, but you don't really get that much spin on this synthetic surface. And then Usman Rafiq, who I'm sure will see into the attack very soon, and was a very good option in the minor league for the Houston Hurricanes. That one will have to be rebowled from Mohamed Mohsin. Excellent piece of fielding at the extra cover position to save a certain boundary. Would have been disappointed he wasn't able to squeeze it through that gap. Straight to the man and gone. Straight to that deep mid-wicket fielder. And Usman Rafiq, as he so often does, the safest pair of hands, takes the catch. And how often do we see this? Almost a knock-on effect. Previous delivery, great piece of fielding. Dot ball creates some pressure. And a big wicket of Jacob Espiniar. Just continuing to make inroads into this Samp Army side, the Knight Riders. New into the attack, Mohamed Mohsin making a difference. Bit of a juggle, but in the end holds on well. Angelo Pereira, the Sri Lankan, walks to the middle. Another one of those players that was ingrained into that minor league, was captain of the East Bay Blazers side. Now comes out, has batted at 4, pretty much his international career and for the Blazers. So again, another player that's very used to this position.
Had this odd setup, so you have to walk all the way there. Mine is still better. I can just walk around circles.
How is that? They were very confident, but umpire not interested. And it would have been a first breakthrough from Mohamed Mohsin. He's so quick through the air, and it just doesn't give you as a batter time to think. Angelo Pereira new to the crease, and almost surprising him. Very interesting, very close. You just wonder, impact may have been the issue. May have struck him and hit him on that back pad, but it just been slightly outside the off stump. No DRS in play, so can he finish with a breakthrough? It's been an excellent over, just 3 runs from it so far, and the wicket. And he just finishes extremely well. This is the phase now where that run rate begins to decrease outside the power play. 5 feeters allowed outside the boundary. Well, on the boundary, I should say. End of 7. A good over for the UMMC Knight Riders, winning the toss, bowling first. And the Samp Army side, 54 for 2 after 7.
Is it?
it's going to be Stevens bowling his second over, and all of a sudden the Knight Riders applying some pressure. You just watch Darren Stevens there. Very interesting when he's making his run up and safely home in the end. He's just chipping a bit as he approaches the crease, and you could just sense he's maybe struggling with the having bowling on this synthetic surface. Just chips in his run up so slightly, and I saw him in last over he bowled, signaling to Usman Rafiq that he's struggling with that. They do of course have the left arm spin of Ali Sheikh, the former USA Under-19 captain, and definitely one to watch out for. Was a star of the minor league for the Dallas Mustangs with both bat and ball. So Hemraj now has got a job to do. 31 from 22. And his team though has lost 2 wickets. 51 it was after the power play. So since that 6 over mark, it's really slowed down and almost inside edging back onto his stumps. People think this is, you know, synthetic, ball comes onto the bat nicely, but really and truly this matting can cause some serious challenge. Remember during the minor league season, a lot of those genuine power strikers that like to hit through the line of the ball really struggle to get going on this matting surface. It'll be interesting to see how the likes of Hemraj and others adjust. Opens the face nicely, but there is that short third field in place. Did he get back in time? Yes, he did. Jaskar Malhotra, he's hitting the stumps ever so hard. Second time he's hit 2 of the stumps out of the ground. They're trying to get their man. Seemed closer than it looked from the naked eye. Another one of those cutters from Stevens was sent back. Yeah, I think he got home just in the end. Need to get this wicket of Hemraj. If they can just get one more wicket before that 10th over, have two relatively new batters at the crease, all of a sudden the game becomes a lot more interesting for the Knight Riders. Have seen teams though like to chase. Pretty even so far in this tournament though. 2 in the morning round of fixtures. 2 teams winning batting first, 2 winning fielding first. But when you think about the scores that were on display, 252 posted by the Bangladesh Tigers, 240 by the Stallions, 181 by the Stallions X, and 194 by the Raiders Unlimited. So it tells you that this can be a very high scoring tournament. And we've already seen mammoth totals, a couple of 90s. Shehan Jayasuriya, Andre Fletcher, Sherfin Rutherford got a half century as well. Sharjeel Khan, the Pakistan international. Just think about the quality on display. Sets up for a real gripping 5 days of cricket. The Atlanta Fire, the home team, one of the home teams in this tournament, are 87 without loss after 5.2 overs. Of course, you can watch that game on the MLC network, and it's because of the power of Rakin Cornwall, but it's been mainly Stephen Taylor, who's 53 from 17 on a ground that he knows very well. That's happening over on field number 4. That matchup, the Fire taking on Square Drive. So after a bit of a hold up in place, ready to go again. And much straighter this time. He's got 5 outside the circle, Stevens, 4 Hemraj, 3 on the leg side. Deep backward square, deep mid wicket, long on. And just the standard deep cover and a long off. But for Pereira, who seems to be sort of a touch player when you watch him playing for Sri Lanka, likes to find the gaps. Still has the 5 out, but he's got a deep third. We'll look to challenge those stumps. Malhotra's up to the stumps for Stevens as well. Off the outside edge. And work to be done for that deep third fielder. Not the quickest by any means, Darren Stevens, especially on this matting. A new transition for him. He won't try to bowl fast. It'll be all about that consistency. 46 years old though, to be playing at this level. Unbelievable to see him in this tournament. Just one delivery remaining, and all of a sudden though, since that power play, things have drastically slowed down for the Samp Army side. This over, just 5 runs coming from it. Can they finish with a boundary? It's well bowled from Stevens. It should just be a single. So good comeback in the last couple of overs from the UMMC Knight Riders. End of 8, 60 for 2. Mohsin, the leg spin, just got a wicket. Introduced into the attack. Now back again for his second over. They're looking to get this wicket of Pereira. All of a sudden, pressure building now on Samp Army. Pereira unable to find that gap. Just feel like something's going to give at some stage. Much needed boundary for Samp Army and Angelo Pereira, because he just sensed that they were just being bogged down. Pereira, a couple of dot balls he faced, but then looking for that scoring area through that deep third region and able to find a gap. So much better for Samp Army. Still a lot of batting to come. So Mohsin, still no Adi Sheikh into the attack as yet. No Usman Rafiq. Two very important spinners, two very effective spinners. So quick through the air, Mohamed Mohsin. Not a big spin of the ball, but he's accurate with his leg spin. And he just likes to beat batters with the pace. Will bring us to the end of the 9th. Another good over though for the Samp Army, sorry. Just 6 runs from it. Let's make that 7 corrections. 67 for 2. Wicket, big wicket coming for the Knight Riders, and it's that man again. Darren Stevens striking, the 46-year-old, coming back into the attack for his third over. And just sensed the pressure even after they got that boundary in the last over. Just went for 7 runs. Something had to give. And it's the wicket of Angelo Pereira. So Hemraj has not had much help from one end. Angelo Pereira, just 9 for him. He's dismissed. And, sorry, make that 10. The score now is 67 for 3. So with that wicket, it brings another new batter to the crease for Samp Army. Down to long on, off the mark straight away is Jonathan Fu. The Guyanese power hitter has come to the middle. Of course, both these teams will want to get off to a win, knowing that the competitiveness of this tournament, how tight these groups are. Not an easy shot to play at all. Cutting from almost on his stumps, Jonathan Fu, but he's a aggressive type player. He gets going very early and able to squeeze it through that point region for a boundary. So they need to get that momentum going. 2 Guyanese in the middle now for the Samp Army side. Just kept a bit low, as this tends to do here on this matting. Variable bounce. Hemraj has done well, though, to ensure that he can remain there. He's going to need some support, though. They just need one big partnership to take them to the 15th over. Then they have power to come. Colin Archibald, Ron Mustafa can hit the ball a long way. But a good over for Stevens and the Knight Raiders, where they're able to get another wicket and all of a sudden pull things back really nicely. The halfway stage of this match in the 2022 Atlanta Open, the Samp Army side 74 for 3. Mohsin's bowled well. Probably been the pick of the bowlers for the Knight Riders. Will bowl his third over, so looking for wickets. Aggressive is Malhotra. Surprised though, you got a left-handed Hemraj there. You haven't seen Usman Rafiq, the off-spin into the attack. Bit surprising. A man that they've brought in for this tournament. In the air, but will fall safely in between those two fielders. That extra cover and long off. Well, at the other grounds, Raheem Cornwall is causing some destruction for the Atlanta Fire. 650 from 31. He did it during the minor league season. How is this? And he's got a wicket again, Mohsin. And boy, every over they just continue to strike since that initial power play. And Chanapal Hemraj is just continuing to lose partners. In the last over, it was the wicket of Angelo Pereira. Now, Mohamed Mohsin getting the wicket of Jonathan Fu. Real trouble now for the Samp Army, who lose their fourth for just 74. .78 for 4 as Ryan Mustafa Watts to the middle. Who would have expected this with all the batting that they have? Just been unable to really get a partnership going. That initial partnership was a fruitful one. The opening stand, 22 it was by Gauss, and then 31 put on by Pinyar and Hemraj. But since 14-11, nothing too convincing. Still have Nisar Patel. Still have Colin Archibald, who can strike the ball well. Very capable. Of course, they're missing their captain, Manat Patel, who's also the USA international captain, opting not to play this Atlanta Open. Preparing himself for that USA international series coming up in Namibia. Excellent piece of fielding. This man, Mohamed Mohsin, is single-handedly pulled this back for his team, the UMMC Knight Riders. Was a big part of them winning the Houston Open and continuing right where he left off. 3 overs, 2 for 12. End of 11. Another wicket coming in the over. Samp Army 78 for 4. Hemraj now 37 from 30 after what was such an explosive start. Really took a liking to Noshas Kenjiga, the left arm spinner. But now has had to really stem the flow because of the wickets have gone on the other end. Stevens bowling his fourth. Oh, beautiful. Unbelievably good from Chanapal Hemraj. Just opens the face, and with that angle, Darren Stevens pushing the ball across him is just too easy, too much width. No real pace on this synthetic surface. And he's continuing to shine, but he needs some help at the other end. This time on the legs. There is a man in the deep, and Ali Sheikh, he doesn't drop too many. And again, another wicket going down in successive overs, and Hemraj just looking to take this bowling attack on. Samp Army in some serious trouble now, losing their fifth with a score on 82. But a good innings from Chanapa Hemraj comes to an end. He's gone for 41. And Stevens, the veteran from England, has got a second. So 5 wickets down, we're still inside the 12th over. And with Samp Army, a team that were runners up at the last edition of the Atlanta Open. A good batting deck, high scoring venue here at the Atlanta Cricket Fields. But it's been a struggle to get momentum. Nisar Patel, the USA international, comes to the middle. Now 2 brand new batters at the crease. So another challenge for Samp Army to contend with. Carmel LaRue and Calvin Savage both can bat. Known Savage especially to play some important knots in the minor league. They've also got Colin Archibald, who can strike it a long way, but they need to at least get to the 15th over. This pair can't afford to continue to lose wickets, because I think anything less than 160 at least is almost like a runnable, given the fast outfield, given how good it is for batting on this synthetic matting. Haven't seen the ball do too much in terms of variable bounce. So something for the Samp Army side to think about, but they've got to stop losing wickets. That's the first thing. End of the over, another successful one for the Knight Riders. End of 12, Samp Army 82 for 5. So Mohsin and Stevens bowling in tandem. He's got a slip in place as well. Has he got him? Looking for the stumping Jaskar Malhotra. He's been pretty quick behind the stumps today, Malhotra. Whipping off the bills quickly, but no interest from the Scredic umpire. Mohamed Mohsin though and Darren Stevens, these two have bowled the majority of their overs on the trot, so good consistency being able to being shown, I should say. It's now his 3rd over, actually 4th over on the trot. He's bowled his spell consecutively, Mohamed Mohsin. How is this one? Looks very good. Hits him on the front pad. Nisar Patel, they've got 2 slips in place now. And it tells you just things beginning to happen for the Knight Riders. You take early wickets and you just keep that pressure on. Interesting decision from the umpire. That one looked pretty adjacent. So This time, though, they've got him. This time, completing the stumping Jaskar Malhotra, and it's a 6th one going down for the Samp Army. In real trouble as they lose Nisar Patel. And just the pressure of the spin and pressure of Darren Stevens from the other end, putting real doubt in the mind of the Samp Army as they lose their 6 for 83. Patel gone without troubling the scores. But it really has been all the Knight Riders so far as Calvin Savage comes to the middle. Starts again, Mohsin very consistent on that off stump line. Just testing the defense, tested it of Nisar Patel, got the breakthrough. Now testing it of Calvin Savage. Just able to squeeze it past Mohsin, who will just stay for one. But every single over they've lost a wicket in each of the last 5 overs, and it's never easy to get any momentum in your innings. End of 13. Another wicket and just 2 runs coming from it. 84 for 6. Just had one of the balls hit by Trevon Griffith at the adjacent field behind us, coming onto the field. Stop playing Noshis Kenjige. Now with 2 right-handers, and this could be another wicket, could it? Oh yes it can. Held on spectacularly well. And what is the thinking from the Samp Army? Just continuously looking to power the ball to all parts, and then another wicket going down. In real trouble now at 84 for 7. Just can't believe what I'm seeing here, because really has been all the way of the UMMC Knight Riders. Noshis Kenjige back into the attack after Stevens completed his 4. And he just teased Calvin Savage with the one that was just flighted outside that off stump. And he hit it straight down into the throat of that long off fielder. Real trouble now for Samp Army. 84 for 7 as Savage is gone without scoring. The UMMC Knight Riders, a team that, remember, won the Houston Open, showing you exactly why in these franchise tournaments they are a serious force to be reckoned with. Brings Asad Ali to the middle, but you wonder how much can be really done now. 84 for 7. There's still a lot of time. A lot of overs to bat. Still have Archibald, still have Carmine LaRue. But given what we've seen today with 2 scorers, well over 200, Couple of 190s as well. You think this may just be below par. Is it another one? Jaskar Malhotra was so confident. Whipped off the bails in a flash. But no interest from the umpire. And he's hit all the stumps out the ground, Malhotra. So that's going to take some repair. So can they get something to go their way, Samp Army? The spin has been in operation and has really challenged Samp Army. Just consistently on that full length. Two slips in place. You don't see this very often in T20 cricket. It's gone straight up. And it could be an eighth. It just could be an is. The UMMC Knight Riders can do no wrong. And the Samp Army team are in deep, deep trouble. 84 for 8 as Ali's gone. The pressure too much. Looking to play a big release shot. And he's gone. Just 2 wickets to take now for the UMMC Knight Riders. They've got a very capable Colin Archibald's come up to the middle. But based on what we've seen, it's just gone all the way of the Knight Riders. The slip's going out now. Can bat. Come back for 2 as well. Good running just to release some of that pressure. But 2 wickets in the over. First runs conceded. Almost like a mix of the Dallas Mustangs and Houston Hurricane minor league sides. These two. You look at Kenjige and Ali Sheikh from the Mustangs and Usman Rafiq from the Houston Hurricanes. A couple of others as well filter in. Well, it ends. It was a brilliant over from Kenjige. Just 2 runs and 2 wickets taken. End of 14, 86 for 8. Well, one of the dangers of this Knight Riders side, they just have a plethora of spin options to go to, and now for the first time today we're seeing Usman Rafiq, a man that had a career best in terms of his last minor league season for the Hurricanes, was unbelievable with the ball in hand. Wanted two, but will just be one. Colin Archibald is very capable with the bat in hand, though. Has played important innings at the first class level for the Leeward Islands. So, not over just yet. But 88 for 8 inside the 15th over. You're not really staring at a very optimistic chance of doing well. And that's the carrom ball that he has. Just comes out the side of the hand. Or front of the hand, really flicks it with that middle finger, Usman Rafiq. He's been so dangerous during the season. He's good at disguising it as well. He's hard to tell the difference, hard to pick. Plays the reverse sweep really well, and a much needed boundary for Samp Army. Need a lot more of where that one came from. Got awareness of where that fielder down with that. Square boundary was. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to this. 205 for 1 in 12.2 overs, the Atlanta Fire. Rakeem Cornwall, who's just come off that Barbados Royals, playing in the CPL, 113 from 47 balls. That is something to witness. The Fire taking on Square Drive, 205 with 7 overs remaining after this. Because you're seeing a 300 total here. Unbelievable, really. Much better this time though from Usman Rafiq. A much better over though for Samp Army. End of 15, 5 remain, 94 for 8. So confirmation then that Rakeem Cornwall, who calls this his home at the Atlanta Creative Fields, playing for the Atlanta Fire for a season now, is the first Centurion of this Atlanta Open. Second, sorry, Lahir Milanta Made his 100 earlier today. Good stop by Rishi Badaraj. Keeping that pressure on the Knight Riders. Yet to cross 100 Samp Army after they were 51 after 6 overs. What a turnaround it's been for the Knight Riders, and it tells you this game of T20 cricket. All about momentum, all about phases. Imran Khan, can he get that crucial wicket just to break this partnership seeming to develop? A couple of deliveries just taking a long time to get to Rohan Mustafa. Again, just sticking into the pitch. Never easy when you're facing a slower type bowler. We're looking for that wicket. Trying to come down the trap, but even slower this time from Imran Khan. Purposely taking pace out of the ball. Ends the 16th, 98 for 8. Well, so Tanvir, who bowled the new ball now, back into the attack in the death overs. And this partnership helps them get to 100 Samp Army, but you think nowhere close to enough runs against a very powerful Knight Riders team. 100 for 8, still some 23 legal deliveries remaining in this innings. So a lot of time, but the wickets is the problem. 8 down for the Samp Army side. They'll need boundaries, but they have to manage the risk. Can't afford to lose another wicket. Just Carmel LaRue to bat for them. So Tanvir's bowled decent so far. Yet to concede a boundary inside the 17th. Samp Army, I think, will be thinking about just getting to that 20th over, seeing how much they can get, put something on the board for the bowlers to bowl to, and try to defend. Good Yorker this time, though. Wide Yorker executed well from Sir Tanvir. With that unorthodox action, always a handful. So much T20 experience as well, all around the world. Similar to where Colin Archibald is from the West Indies, Tanvir would have played in the CPL for the Ghana franchise. Really, he's played all over the world. Really, so Tanvir. Well, waited on that one. And it just takes a bounce. And the fielder, it actually took a bounce and took a lot of pace off of it. Really should have been expected to stop that, Mohamed Mohsin. But in the end, enough on it to get to a boundary. So just too short from Tanvir. And a good way to end the over with a boundary. Colin Archibald now coming into his own. I was surprised he came in to bat so late. Knowing his batting ability, the fact that he has first class experience. But he opted to come in there, so sent him in at 10. So far, definitely looked the part. End of the 17th over, 110 for 8. So Imran Khan again was very effective in that last over with his changes of pace. On this synthetic surface, the ball really holds up, so very tough to hit. He continues to take pace off the ball, starts with just a single. Jaskar Malhotra be thinking they want to wrap this up quickly. You don't want to let Samp Army get back into this game. Archibald has known that he can power the ball around the ground.
It's a new matching day we did also. You know? It's a new matching day lady. It's pretty new, the first they played in. Done that one over there.
Again, using his deception well, Imran Khan. Just to update you in terms of what's happening around the grounds in this Atlanta Open. Rocky and Cornwall 143 from 57 balls. And really, the charge is on. The Fire 243 for 1 after 15 overs. We'll definitely see the biggest total from them. The Tigers are 165 for 3 inside the 16th over. Fabian Allen, the man that was left out of that West Indies side, has just come to the crease. And of course, the final game, the Atlanta Starlings taking on the Legends. They're 167 for 4. The Starlings, Gary Graham getting a 50. So a lot of action happening. 4 matches at the same time, as it'll be for the next 5 days. Again, just singles, not going to hurt the Knight Riders too badly in this situation. No ball signal, so Malhotra won't be happy about that because it just takes some of the pressure off. And really, after what was such a good over, just 2 runs from it. The 18th over. Well, there hits a stump, but remember it's a free hit delivery, so it won't be out. Well ball this time from Imran Khan. For the first time in the over, went pace on. More importantly, it's a dot ball, just 3 runs from the over. 109 for 8. Gets good connection on that run, Mustafa. And this was the pairing that you just mentioned. You know that you have this sort of power. You needed someone from the top order to put their hand up. Playing good cameos for their team, Mustafa and Colin Archibald, but you just think too little too late. Good start to Tanvir Zova though. Too full from Soya Tanvir, looking for that Yorker but misses length. In the slot, and Mustafa taking on that straight boundary. So, just 7 legal deliveries in this innings remaining. How many can they get? Can they get 15? Get to 130? You never know if you take early wickets in the power play. It becomes a different game. Well, bowled this time, and Tanvir going into the pitch. I'm surprised you haven't seen more of that because he got a good off cutter. And you saw how Imran Khan bowled from the other end with that piece off delivery. Very tough to hit, very tough to generate the power. Looking again for that Yorker. Just chases it. Rohan Mustafa will be disappointed he missed out. Very full, should have already been put away. Goes Yorker this time and executes well. So after that initial maximum was hit, just the 2 singles so far. Can he close out the over well, Sohail Tanvir? Tell you, the Atlanta Fire on the verge of scoring 300 inside the 17th over. They're 266. Cornwall's 149 from 58 deliveries. So that will mean we just have 1 over remaining. The score 118 for 8. Imran Khan to bowl it. And he's bowled extremely well. Even though he hasn't picked up a wicket, that pace-off option has really worked well for him on this synthetic surface. Been very tough to hit to get that power through the ball. Final over, Mustafa facing. Starts at the dot, Imran Khan Jr. And mixing up his pace well. Starts seam on. And deceives Mustafa, who's probably expecting a slow ball if you look at the majority of the spell bowled. Run out chance and hits. Jaskar Malhotra, the captain, had all 3 stumps to aim at and executes well. Mustafa looking to get off strike. Instead, it's got to go run out. So they lose their 9th now. Samp Army. Mustafa, though, a good cameo from him, helping his team get to something respectable. As Carmine LaRue comes to the middle now. So just 3 deliveries in this innings remain. They'll be looking to get to that 130. Can they get 12? 3 boundaries, 2 maximums. Can they get to 130 runs? But really, you expect a lot more from this Samp Army team. A team that would have come in as one of the favorites, given the fact that they were runners-up in last year's edition. So just 3 deliveries remaining now. 2 deliveries, sorry. And Carmine LaRue, you think, will want to get Colin Archibald back on strike. Oh, well bowled, well disguised slower ball, and Malhotra knew it straight away, ensuring that they can't complete the run. And Archibald is stranded, hasn't faced a single delivery in this last over. Tells you all you need to know, really. Just 1 delivery remaining. Trying to be very crafty. They'll come through for the bye, but maybe another one as well. So, end of the innings. And Samp Army will be very disappointed. They're only able to get to 119 runs for 9. After their 20, don't go too far when we return. We'll have the run chase, where the UMMC Knight Riders, after a good bowling performance, will need 120. A runner ball exactly for a win in this Atlanta Open 2022 edition. That's the first wicket for the UMMC Knight Riders. Noman Anwar, big wicket going down. But you think just 120 runs on the board, always going to be difficult. Looking to make use of that square boundary, the power play, but finds the square leg fielder. He's got to walk back Noman Anwar. So he will end his short run. And it brings Rishi Badraj, the man has just won the minor league, to the middle. So it brings now Rishi Badraj, Carmel LaRue getting early success, but they're going to need a lot more wickets inside this power play if they want to be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, to update you, the Atlanta Fire posting 320 in their 20 overs. Cornwall getting to 205 not out from 77 balls. What an innings. 22 maximums involved in that. So Badraj now with work to do. Won't want to get too bogged down. That required rate less than a run a ball. So should be very simple equation. Just pulling away there. Badraj something in his line of sight. Nisar Patel into the attack early. Great work there by a cameraman. That is big. That one is big. Going straight back. Jaskar Malhotra will want to get this over with very quickly. He's very powerful, Malhotra. That's come off the middle of the back. Good timing. Full toss. Hits it over long off for 6. We'll make that 2 and 2 for Jaskar Malhotra. USA International making it look very easy at the moment. Was batting on a different track, and it just tells you a bit of intent, helping the Knight Riders. He's leading from the front, opening the batting today. 28 from 11 for Malhotra. Well, he gets him this time, Nisar Patel. And Malhotra just looking, go one too many. He's disappointed with the decision, but he's got to go caught leg before, caught in front. And Patel, after conceding 13, departs. Well, sorry, gets Malhotra to depart. And finally a wicket, second going down for the Knight Riders. So Darren Stevens, the 46-year-old man with that first-class average of 35, walks to the middle. Inside the fifth over, still inside the power play. They're going hard at this, the Knight Riders. And Carmel LaRue, who was star of the minor league season with his team. Already getting a wicket. The breakthrough of Noman Anwar. We'll be looking for some more. Still a lot of batting to come. Mohamed Mohsin padded up. Ali Sheikh.
Okay, for that thing. Which thing? Side, offside. Yeah. Do I need to book it from somewhere, or shall I book it and just how do you want me to do it? I'll have a look at it. Because he tried to send something, but I didn't see anything. They've done. Yeah. I'll look at it.
So
What's your
just 86 more runs needed.
so in Chicago? You know how the indoors are. In the factory next.
Very short. We'll have to rebuild that one. Certainly, Carmel LaRue. They'll need wickets and need them quickly. The Samp Army side, if they want to win this game, just 85 more runs to defend. They've gotten the wicket of Malhotra. Do they have another one? Wide signaled. Samp Army all went up. LaRue was very confident, but a wide signal which suggests that nothing on the bat on the way through. So LaRue having to adjust that line. So Stevens comes back for an easy two. Darren Stevens, really remarkable achievement, 46 years old. What he's been able to do. So many first-class matches under his belt. Just opens the face nicely, Stevens. Don't think he'll have enough. He won't get to the boundary. Just be a single as well. So things slowing down, but still. Able to know exactly what they're chasing. First over for Colin Archibald starts with the wide. We'll have to reboot there. Still well above the rate, going close to 8 and over. Gets it right this time though, Colin Archibald. Have to reball that one again. So really struggling to find that consistency, that rhythm. So far, Colin Archibald bowling this sixth over, the final one of the power play. Finally, we'll get a boundary. And they needed that. Rishi Badaraj, man, that's been showed his good ability. In the minor league season, just working it off the hips, opening the face and heading it down to that vacant fine leg region inside the power play. Just 2 feeters allowed outside the circle. He had that deep backward square and deep mid wicket, so needs to be a lot fuller on that off stump. Archibald, he's only bowled 2 legal deliveries in the over already. He's gone for 7. Good intent being shown. Won't get to the boundary, but it'll just be 2. So again, 72 needed now, less than 5 runs and over. Should be a walk in the park from here on in. What would be a telling win for the Knight Riders squad in this very competitive 2022 Atlanta Open. Samp Army just not, you think, not posting enough runs on the board. Much better this time though from Archibald. Been expensive. Good to see him getting opportunities though in the United States. He played for the Morrisville Raptors. Colin Archibald was good all around in terms of his ability for them. Helped them get very close to those playoffs and got into the playoffs, but unfortunately came up short against the Stallions. And now trying to help his Samp Army side return to the final for the second time consecutively after they were runners up in 2021. Here he is getting a wicket, and it was a good delivery, not quick, but just challenging the top of off, and dismissed Rishi Badaraj, who's gone for 9. Wasn't a convincing innings, and now the Knight Riders lose their third at 48. Good delivery from Colin Archibald. So Stevens quiet side. Malhotra has come to the crease, unable to get away with the boundary. Just 67 more runs needed for victory. And they'll be looking to get a big win here, the Knight Riders, to help the net run rate as well. These groups, just a 5-day tournament, tend to come down a lot to net run rate, to head-to-head matches. Definitely will have to reboard that one. Calvin Savage, first delivery, a bit of a loosener. He's picked that one up well, and he's got it straight back over the bowler's head. Darren Stevens, man, with all of his experience, first class average of 35, he's a class player, but he's got some power as well. That asking rate closer to 4 and over now, and Calvin Savage, it's got to be a bit better than that. Just too easy hit on the up, and lifts it with the wind over mid-off, long off for 6. So 60 for 3 now. Chance of a catch and taken this time. Stevens hit a 6 in that area early in the over, but this time picks out mid-off and he's got to depart. So they're taking wickets but don't have a lot of runs to play with. Samp Army, 4th going down though. Stevens gone for a run about 10, 60 for 4. Bit of confusion there. Seemed to have struck Mohamed Mohsen on the wrist. Then he just hit the ball away and we heard some sort of appeal. Interesting. 60 for 4 inside the 7th over. Have a small break in play. Let's hope Mohamed Mohsen is okay. Let's hope Mohamed Mohsen, he's still getting some treatment to that hand. Let's hope he's okay. But if you're now joining us, a very clinical bowling performance from the Knight Riders allowed them to restrict Samp Army to 119. And now 60 for 4. Lost a couple of wickets on the way through, but well on their way of getting these runs. So that's the hold up. Mohamed Mohsen getting some treatment to that wrist. We'll take a short break and return with some action. Back on the way here. And finally, Savage able to finish his over. End of the 7th, 60 for 4. So back underway. Ron Mustafa will come into the attack for the first time with his off spin. The UAE former UAE captain, tons of experience as well in this format. And boy, do they need wickets. He's got to try everything. Samp Army skipper with the attempt of trying to get a wicket. So they're down to 59 runs needed, 4.5 per over. Already lost 4 wickets. 59 more runs needed. Saib Malhotra has been very powerful for this Raiders team. Just tucked into the onside. 2 is the call. But it'll just be a single, so keeping things quiet in terms of the other action. The Tigers got to 234 for 5. And they're 20 overs. Runs for Trevon Griffith, he got 46. Keon Otley 58. Fabian Allen 30, an unbeaten 30 from just 13 deliveries. The Atlanta Fire, as we mentioned, 326 runs put on in 20 overs, thanks to a monumental double 100 from Raheem Cornwall, 205 from 77 deliveries. And replay square driver 51 for 3. And then the final game, Atlanta Starlings putting up 183 for 5. So this being the lowest score of the tournament so far, put on by Samp Army, a team batting first, 120. Starlings 183 for 5. Gary Graham getting 52. Ends with a dot. Ron Mustafa, a quick over, just 2 runs from it. End of 8, 62 for 4. So it's going to be the seam of Savage. Picked up a wicket and just conceded 7 runs. Starts well. Just getting it to deviate past the outside edge. Mohsin was struck on that wrist and hasn't really been the same since. So we'll be hoping that they can just form a partnership here. Need something substantial. Don't need to take too many risks with less than 60 runs required for victory. At less than 5 runs and over, it's less than a run a ball, so should be a walk in the park, you expect. But if you get 2 more wickets here, things become very interesting. You then question the depth of this Knight Riders side. Usman Rafiq still to bat, Ali Sheikh, both 2 all-rounders who are very capable. Missing his run up there, Calvin Savage. Single. Takes the score up down to 65. 64 for 4, correction. Yeah, not too much happening at the moment, but well poised for what would we be a first win for the Knight Riders in this tournament, the UMMC Knight Riders. Remember, a team that's fresh off of winning the Houston Open. We'll have to rebuild that one. Calvin Savage getting some good carry though. On this synthetic surface, it's been a challenge, but really getting some zip off the surface. Standing a far way back is Andreas Gauss. Just a single to end what would be the ninth over. And they really are well on their way. The Knight Riders, no need to take any risks. But a good over from Savage, just 4 runs conceded. Good to see the Pirates, the Birds out watching the action as well. 66 for 4. So Mustafa bowled a good first over. He will continue to his second. Don't want to make this look too hard, the Knight Riders, because cricket's a funny game. Couple of tight overs, and all of a sudden, Samp Army are back into this. The way Malhote just started, before he was dismissed, it could have been over very soon. Went from around the wicket as well, trying to just angle the ball in and spin away from the left-handed Mohsin. Wanted two, but will just stay for one. Safe going though at the moment, and this is where Samp Army lost their way. They just tried to do too much in the middle. Comes back for two, good running. So just ensuring that they can keep turning over the strike. 4 ready from the over. That's all that's really needed. 4.8 and over. So just about touching distance from that required rate. Just some consultation at the halfway stage. End of 10, 70 for 4. Trying to figure out Samp Army how they can prize a wicket here because they need one. With just 50 runs needed from the last 10, it really should be a walk in the park with 2 set batters at the crease. Look at that delivery, doing something. It's where they've got a slip in place, looking for wickets. Samp Army trying to find a way to break through. Again, have to reboot this one though, Calvin Savage. We've seen LaRue, we've seen Calvin Savage. No more overs of Colin Archibald, which is somewhat of a surprise given the fact that he was able to bowl that cutter that got the wicket a couple of overs ago. I think they will have to go back to him at some stage. They want to keep taking wickets. Short, cut hard. But Mustafa's on that point boundary, patrolling it well. Just keeps it to a single. So can they find a way to prize the wicket here? Yeah, just something happening because a couple of overs where nothing is really going on. Coming back for 2. Good awareness from Mohamed Mohsin. 6 from 14, now 8 from 15. Not the best T20 innings, but in this situation, you take that, given the fact that your team only needs 5 runs and over, but you've got to make sure that you can see it to the end. Got to start. So 11 overs done and dusted. 45 more runs to win. Start run rate required still at 5 and over. Just trying to get it right, Ron Mustafa. Bringing up that deep square leg fielder. Sort of a 3/4 position. But pretty easy going at the moment for Mohsin. No real rush. Still have Suckling Hyder as well. Haven't seen him bat as yet for the Knight Riders. A very capable batter to come. So really and truly, this one should be all but over. Sohail Tanvir as well. Sorry, Suckling Hyder not in the side today. But they do have Tanvir, they've got Usman Rafiq, they've got Ali Sheikh, and not just Kenjiga, all can bat. Just try to fire one in. Mustafa misfield, they'll get through for the single. Haven't seen Jacob Pinar with the ball in hand today. Can bowl a bit of handy left arm spin. That could be troublesome on this surface where we have seen a couple of deliveries. Just stay down, keep a bit low. Trying to be a bit too cute on that occasion. Can hear the breeze though blowing into the mic here at the Atlanta Career Fields. It tells you but the wind is really picked up the last couple of minutes. Just punching it down to cover. He wants two, but he's only going to get a single. Mohsin, it has been a struggle for him. He was struck on his wrist very early in that innings. And since has really struggled to turn over the strike. He's 11 from 20, but playing the situation, you would say. End of 12, 78 for 4. So Nisar Patel, who picked up that early wicket, did concede 13 runs, was a tad expensive, has now come back into the attack. Started well so far. Trying to get a breakthrough for this Samp Army team because from the looks of it, could be staring on the barrel of their first defeat in this 2022 Atlanta Open. and struck powerfully, but straight to the fielder, that deep cover fielder. Just be a single. Much better delivery this time from Nisarg Patel. Man with the international experience. It's the main left arm spin in that United States side. He needs to show it now. He needs to will something for his team. And is that something? It is. Piece of bat on it. Malhotra's unmoved, but it's been a miserable innings. 10 from 16. Hasn't moved as yet, but he's got to go. May have just got some bat on it on the way through. The umpire was convinced, went up straight away. And Sahib Malhotra, after 16 deliveries where he wasn't able to get going, he's got to depart. With the Knight Riders now losing their 5th at 82. So Tanvir has come to the middle now. This could just be interesting. Only 38 more runs needed, but have to wonder. A wicket here now, a quick wicket, does make this a much more enticing encounter. But you got to get them first. So Nisarg Patel getting his second. Spin from both ends with Mustafa in operation. 2 is the call. It's only going to be a single though. Then Mohammed Mohsin. 13 from 22. It's been a real struggle for him. Just squeezes it past point. Down into that deep cover boundary, just be a single. So far so good for Tanvir and Mohsin. Didn't quite get it, but it goes over point. And it will be a boundary. Much needed for Mohsen and much needed for the Knight Riders to take some of that pressure off, because last year it was just increasing last couple of deliveries. This time, though, he's got his man. This time he's got his man. And Ron Mustafa strikes again. This game getting very interesting. We've seen such high scores all day. But all of a sudden in this game, turning out to be a real low scorer. And is there one more twist to the tail? Mohamed Mohsen is going after hit, just striking a boundary. Knight Riders now 88 for 6. So Usman Rafiq, very experienced, comes to the middle now. Asking the question around Mustafa. He's slowly pulling this game back. Two brand new batters at the crease. An eventful over comes to an end. They get the wicket that they so desire. 6 overs remaining, 32 runs to win. Could we have an interesting turn of events here? Just lapped off the pad. And more runs coming for Suhail Tanvir. Much needed boundary. So I thought it was lapped off the pad. That came off the outside edge, but no slip in place. And that deep third fielder very wide, so they will get a much needed boundary. That will help some of the pressure to start the over off. Beats the outside edge with a beauty, Calvin Savage. And another one. Another wicket for Samp Army, and would you believe it, the Knight Riders are 93 for 7. Usman Rafiq hit on the pad. The finger going up straight away. And boy, this is trouble. This is problematic. Very problematic for the UMMC Knight Riders. The finger, the slow death went up for Usman Rafiq. Came a long way across and hitting into the stump. So real problems now. 27 more runs needed, but they've lost 7 wickets. Nostrus Kenjige comes to the middle. So I don't think the overs are a problem. 27 needed from 32 deliveries. Still very capable batters at the crease. 93 for 7. Kenjige. Can he get going? He can bat. We know that for sure. He's played important innings for the USA side in the past. But he needs to play one for the UMMC Knight Riders in this situation. 93 for 7. After we've seen as much as 320 runs being scored in one innings in a T20 match, remember. Teams struggling to score 120 runs. I'll run a ball. Didn't expect this. Leaves it outside that off stump. You know, all of a sudden a couple dot balls, another wicket, and that asking rate takes another jump to 7, 7.5. But a big over. The bowlers bringing them back. Samp Army, the UMMC Knight Riders, 93 for 7. And 5 overs ago, what looked to be a walk in the park. Thanks to some good bowling from Samp Army, they've pulled themselves back into this game some way, somehow. And now 27 needed from 5, still very manageable, just 5.4 runs and over. But the key thing is they've lost 7 wickets, the Knight Riders. Could be in some deep trouble here. So Colin Archibald given his second over. After he picked up that wicket, was expensive. We didn't see the ball again. But now in the death, want pace on the ball. They've gone back to him. Expect Carmine LaRue will have a crucial part to play from the other end. 26 more now needed. They were cruising. They were 53 runs after 6 overs. But they had lost 3 wickets. You just wondered about that wickets column. Could always make things very interesting. Boy, is it interesting now. Stringing together some dots. 2 Noxious Kenjige. Oh, cut really well. Cut well. A great shot under pressure from Kenjige, and he'll get 4 for his team. Boy, will that help and take huge weight off the shoulders. So looking to, with that angle, just be wide of the crease. And he will always have that extra width, Colin Archibald.
What's the score?
98 for 7. What? 1 delivery remaining inside the 16th over. Getting some bounce, sharp bounce, steep bounce. It's a new synthetic matting that's been laid down. So I have seen a couple of those deliveries with that variable bounce. End of 16 overs. 5 from it, 96 for 7. So Asad Ali starting with a wide. Wide then a dot. 21 needed from 23 deliveries, so still less than a run of ball. But you think they need a boundary here to take some of the pressure off. Another wide. The extras won't help their causes. The 100 slowly comes up for the UMMC Knight Riders. 20 more to get. Couple of big hits and they're right there, but they have to get them. They'll need Soya Tanvir to fire. Looking for that expansive drive through cover. Unable to execute there though. Tanvir. Who would have expected this? 119 on the board. You thought it would have been a walk in the park. But instead it's been quite the opposite. They started well, but they lost 3 wickets inside the first 6 overs.
Runs on board, boss.
Be key to see how Tanvir, with all of his experience, plays this situation. Should just be another single. You don't mind that too much if you're the Knight Riders. Brings Kenjiga, who's not a big muscle of the cricket ball. Relies on finding the gaps. You've got 5 fitters outside, deep on the circle. So thinking for Jacob Espiniar to do. Interesting to see the delivery he bowls as well. He's got deep third, deep cover, long off, long on. Deep mid wicket and fine leg. Has the 5 outside the circle, so Kenjiga, he likes to be very cute behind square. Opens the face, uses those ramps. And that's probably why they've packed both a deep mid wicket, sorry, a deep fine leg and a deep third on the boundary. Should just be a single. They're playing the long game here, Knight Riders, but want to ensure that you can still pick up a single a ball, a run a ball, and then you get a boundary. All of a sudden, you win the game. Too many dots in between, and that ass here, it goes past 6 and over, it goes past 7, 8, and then you're behind the 8 ball. So Tanvir, you think 2 deliveries remaining in this over, you'll be targeting one of these 2 to find a boundary, as the more experience is the bigger hitter in this Knight Riders squad. A ball though from Ali, just on that hard length outside that off stump, not giving Tanvir much to work with. And look at this, that is very costly. It just trickled down to deep cover, really should have been stopped. Instead it goes through Colin Archibald. He can't believe it, but we have seen this field, you get a bit of that uneven bounce. No excuse, just went straight through his legs and already should have been stopped. And I mentioned the fact that Tanvir would have been looking for a boundary. He's got it now. 14 needed, and that ass here is taking a huge dip. Has to do better there. Colin Archibald. Another single, playing it well. He'll retain the strike for the next over. Tanvir, 13 to get. 107 for 7. So LaRue will bowl his fourth and final. Crucial over coming up here. If he can get a wicket, would be so important. Tests Tanvir again on that good length. Testing his defense. Oh, there he is. That's the power of Sohail Tanvir. It's only a matter of time. He sized it up. And wow, that was a special strike from the former Pakistani international. All of his experience, over 390 T20 matches at the highest level. Professional T20 matches, that is. And just used the length well. It was a high-risk shot, taking it from his pads, muscling it into the onside. Just 7 required for victory now. And you think they've got 1 foot in the door to picking up their first victory. The UMMC Knight Riders. LaRue, I think, will be looking for a Yorker. He goes slower ball and on length. Tanvir hitting through the line but unable to get it past that long on field, mid-on, sorry. Interesting for Jaskar Malhotra, the current captain of this Knight Riders team. A bit bittersweet for him because he led this Samp Army side in last year's tournament to the finals. Now playing for the opposition in terms of the Knight Riders. 1 for the over signaled. So that's the nature of franchise cricket. Always making switches to different teams. So more runs, this time off the pad. And Carmel LaRue, unlucky really, but I think this one all but over now, just 3 required. Probably be looking to finish it in this over, but at one stage they were stuttering along the way. The Knight Riders, you really don't expect a team with all of this batting, both teams for that matter of fact, don't expect both teams with all of this batting power to struggle to get to 120 runs or run a ball in T20 cricket. Was looking to finish it right there. So Tanvir, but you have to wait till the next over. End of the 18th over, 117 for 7, just 3 required. Just a single from Kenjige. Just 2 runs away now. The Knight Riders, very strong team. Picked up the win, of course, in the Houston Open a couple months ago, earlier this year, before that Mind League season. And now will be on the winning ways, on to winning ways in this Atlanta Open. But they're just preventing the inevitable, you could say. Because really and truly, this one will be over. 2 needed from 10 deliveries, correction. And again, this time off the inner half of the bat, straight to Mustafa at that square leg position. Always seems that just when you've seen this, like this game was over, always had a twist, but no. Sohail Tanvir says thank you very much. He's got his team to a win. And the UMMC Knight Riders pick up a win. They're first in this 2022 Atlanta Open. One that will do their confidence a world of good, the way their bowlers set the game up, restricting a powerful Samp Army team to just 119. And then, of course, after stuttering along the way, clinching was their first win against a strong side, winning by some 3 wickets with 9 deliveries remaining. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here at the Atlanta Great Fields. Remember, 5 days of action coming your way, and tomorrow we'll be back with 2 more matches, 8 happening across the 4 fields, and we look forward to seeing you then. But a look at the batting and bowling. Well, the Knight Riders, this was what set it up. 3 wickets for Mohsin, 2 for Stevens, 2 for Kenjige, and 1 apiece for Imran Khan Jr., who bowled well at the death, and Sohail Tanvir. We wish you all the best, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple hours' time. But in the end, the UMMC Knight Riders, after stuttering along the way, their captain Malhotra led from the front with 28, and then Sohail Tanvir, the Pakistani all-rounder, 29 not up from just 20 balls to get them over the line. A convincing victory in the end for the UMMC Knight Riders.